Hi there guys, it's Mike from MCQBushcraft here, and welcome to episode 5 of Bushcraft Basic Skills. In last week's episode we had a look at Scotland and the land access laws up there, which extend to most waters, and also wild camping as well, and they have some very liberal laws up there to accompany the beautiful landscapes that they have. But in this week's episode, episode 5, we're having a look at the land access laws for Northern Ireland. And Northern Ireland is a very beautiful place, some very picturesque landscapes up there, and well worth visiting if you've never been. But in Northern Ireland, land access is a little bit different than it is over here in England and Wales, and especially Scotland. Have a legal framework over here called the Countryside Rights of Way Act 2000, and in Scotland they have the Land Reform Act 2003, which sort of oversee land access and right to roam at the top of the triangle, overseeing and standing for all those kind of things. All that legislation is in place underneath them. And in Ireland it's more done on relationships that local authorities and councils build with landowners. So local authorities will often set up relationships with landowners, and those landowners will create public rights of way in the form of public footpaths, public rights of way. You can also have permissive footpaths, which are temporary footpaths, or footpaths that landowners have set up in agreement to someone, and it's a footpath that they can shut down. You also have bridleways as well that can be used with horses. You can have byways as well, which can be used with horse and carriage, and also with 4x4s, for example. But they do have common land over there as well, and like England and Wales, common land can take many shapes and forms. You can have very large areas of wilderness, like the Mourne Mountains, for example. And it's important to note that wild camping in Northern Ireland is illegal completely. It doesn't mean you'll be locked up for it unless you cause criminal damage. You'll probably be asked to move on like you would over here, or like you would in Scotland if you're not supposed to be somewhere. But it is illegal, and you're not supposed to do it unless you're on a designated campsite. But if we take the Mourne Mountains as an example, and you look at their website, like the common land over here in England and Wales, a lot of they have their own bylaws, a lot of these common areas that people have the right to roam all over, and they don't have to stick to a footpath. So a lot of bylaws will be attributed to them, and they can be different to one another. But in the Mourne Mountains, if you look at their website, they actually talk about wild camping and even open fires on the website. They don't condone it in any way, but they're saying if you do it, please get out of the way. I mean, it's a large area of wilderness and an upland mountainous terrain, so it's not difficult to get out of the way, in all honesty. But keep a low profile, get out of the way, don't have a ridiculously large fire, and just be respectful. And a lot of people still go out there, a bit like the Brecon Beacons, where they're not technically allowed to do it, but they still do, and they do it respectfully, and because of that, it's tolerated over there. And I can't condone it in this video, obviously, but I'm just giving you the facts and the information that's actually out there, and a lot of people still do it. So common land has its own bylaws, and it can take many shapes and forms. For example, the Mourne Mountains, you may be able to wild camp and get away with it, and have a small fire or take a wood burning stove. My advice would be to not have an open fire or take a wood burning stove, and actually take a gas stove if you're up there, simply because there may be lots of bracken, dry grass, being upland areas, and you don't want things to get out of hand with high winds. But other types of common land may be woodland. They have a lot of woodland over in Northern Ireland, and a lot of it is common land, but it's managed by the National Trust, and they don't allow wild camping at all. In fact, they outright banned it, and they don't like it, and you're not technically allowed to wild camp. You can visit these woodlands and you can roam around them. It really depends on the bylaws that are attributed to that area. But wild camping is generally not allowed, or technically not allowed, but people still do it. I've spoken to people who have been over to Northern Ireland and they've wild camped, they've hammocked and tarped it in various woodlands, almost like the one I'm in now. And you know, have they run into troubles? No, technically they shouldn't really be doing it. But people are respectful, and you know, they do these kind of things regardless, because we all want that freedom, and we know if we're responsible or not, and we don't need to be told if we are. And some people take it upon themselves to go out and explore these areas and do the things they wish to do, and they keep a low profile and they're respectful. and they leave very little trace of themselves being there, and as a result have a very low impact on that environment. I can't condone that in this video, obviously, and you can understand why not, but I'm just giving you the law and the reality of the scenarios over there, so you can then do some exploration and make your own mind up. For OS maps in Northern Ireland, it's called the Discoverer series, and in the Republic of Ireland it's the Discovery series. And OS maps, I can't stress it enough, it may be that you want to go to an area of remote wilderness and see whether wild camping is okay there and get out the way. So buying an OS map will allow you to see where you can go. And it also means that if you've got a family with you, with children, you can see the contours of the landscape and actually plan a route in advance alongside campsites and other amenities. So they can be really important, and it's a bird's eye view of the field in front of you. But this episode here really concludes our final episode on land access in the British Isles. I live in the British Isles, and I owe it to a lot of people out there to share the legalities of the do's and don'ts of what they can do, which is why I've covered it so extensively, to be quite honest with you, over a series of 5 episodes. But I appreciate a lot of my audience aren't from the British Isles, and they may have found it tedious, but again, it's something that needed to be covered, and it has been. So in next week's episode we're going to be covering equipment, and really from next week onwards this is where we start covering gear. We start looking at its functionality, seeing what it can do, the pros and cons, and actually using it in the field with skills as well. And next week we're starting with backpacks. Backpacks for me really signify the beginning of a journey in terms of building kit and getting outdoors, because it's a container. It's the extension of your home, it's the foundation of your kit, it affects your kit mentality, and it also affects the kit that you put in it, its shape, its weight, its size, what it can do, and how it will develop in the future. So having a backpack will allow you to start putting things in it and taking them out in the field. It's your toolbox and your home out in the woods in some respects. It's really important. So join me next week for episode 6. I have got a range of backpacks to show you, including mine, and we'll go through some things, look at some pros and cons, and hopefully you'll get a good idea by the end of it of the kind of packs that are on the market and what you're looking for. So thanks for watching. Please see the links in the description below that are attributed to this video, and I'll see you next week in Bushcraft Basics. Take care, guys.